The INEOS Grenadier is a new yet classically inspired SUV that was dreamed up in an English pub in 2017. It's rugged, it's capable, it's stylish, but is it family friendly?
First, here's how much the Grenadier costs.
I've never been in a vehicle that looks like this. I have been in an aircraft that looks like this. What is up with all these toggles? And all these bolts, these little panels that look like you could add additional features.
The entire ethos of the Grenadier is simplicity, tactile.
I am disappointed that they use this much shiny black plastic on a vehicle that's going to get super dusty off-road.
But immediately adjacent, there's this little pattern on the doors, which is kind of nice. We've got genuine sauce pockets.
There's a huge lower pocket in the door. There's two smaller cup holders right here. There's a spot up here you could rest a small phone, but the A and C USB ports are in this center console.
That middle center console isn't huge, but it is lockable. Moving to the seats, they do not offer power seats on the INEOS Grenadier. Standard Recaros feels like a race seat I might have had like in my S2000 or something like that. The lateral support does not impede my range of motion with my arms.
It does seem helpful for going off-road where you might be bouncing around.
And I don't find any real pressure points here, though I do wish there was an adjustable lumbar support.
And I wish the adjustment for the verticality in the seat back was not at quite so awkward an angle.
Moving to the second row, we've got standard rear vents, a lot of headroom, plenty of knee and foot clearance. I find the seat back to be more vertical than I would prefer, and that is non-adjustable. Kiddo, how are you finding the back seats?
It's pretty good, but the foot space isn't great in the middle.
What about climbing in and out of the INEOS Grenadier?
It's just really hard because it's so high.
There are no handles anywhere except this passenger handle.
Though I will say that they have a side step available. Accessibility is a little bit tricky without that optional step. As you may have noticed, the INEOS Grenadier is a box on wheels, and that really aids in cargo space. We've got 40 cubic feet back there, tie down points, you got power on the driver's side. Accessing the cargo area is a 70-30 split horizontal gate.
I am terrible at remembering the order of things, so remembering what order to close those in, I would rather not have it be split.
The seats do fold, kind of an old school setup where you need to lift up the seat bottoms first, take out the headrest, and then you can flip them down under the rear seat backs. Oh, I'm being told we need to refuel soon. Get like a half a tank, what the heck? Well, that's weird. Anyway, you can store a little bit of stuff underneath those rear seats. INEOS does, including the battery and a bunch of other electronic stuff. Sweetie, what's the latch point situation?
There are lower anchors for the outboard seats, really easy to snap our booster in. There's also room for a rear-facing car seat.
As for safety, unsurprisingly, neither the NHTSA nor IIHS have crash tested and rated the pretty niche INEOS Grenadier. That said, I was pleased to see it has lane departure warning and automatic emergency braking standard, though it doesn't have lane keeping assist. So if you cross that line, you'll get like a little warning that sounds odd to our American ears, but it will not pull itself back into its lane. Family, what do we think? Is the INEOS Grenadier family friendly?
With a base price well over $50,000, it is rich family friendly.
Rear window test. All the way down, woo! Boop. Thoughtful. Armrest test. You're meant to put your left arm up top here on top of the door, and then right arm down over here. So there's some asymmetry here. We got stitching on the edge, kind of firm, and then that's a little bit harder. Because of awkward placement and some abrasion, I'm gonna go 75% inboard, 50% outboard. Moving onward to style.
I really like older vehicles, so of course I love the exterior. It looks so rugged and utilitarian in a way I haven't seen before.
I think it's a combination of circles and squares. We love our Bronco, and we also like a Jeep Wrangler, and we like a Land Cruiser. All of these shapes have that similar utilitarian vibe. But this really looks old school. People who aren't deeply knowledgeable about the automotive world, they might think it is actually old instead of aesthetically old. Another point of reference is the Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon, and by coincidence, I happened to be driving one for my day job when they dropped this one off for our personal channel. Oh yeah, there's some pretty similar vibes there. Though I will say the INEOS Grenadier is a much cheaper choice if you're looking for something in the G-Wagon space. Another G-Wagon-esque element is the way the doors close. I'm gonna give the win to the G-Wagon for ultimate awesomeness, auditorily speaking, when you close the door, but this is a very close second, and you have that same tactile feel, push the button and then the door opens.
I had several people approach me while I was shooting wanting to know what it is, where it was made. Prepare for lots of conversation if you buy one of these.
And some of those conversations might be old men mansplaining to you that it's built in Germany because they don't know that Hambach is in France. And he was saying that next to a French flag. I'm so sorry you had to endure that. With all that said, there are some very interesting Grenadier features that we should dive in with a little bit more depth. Let's talk about what makes the Grenadier so special from the outside. And while I do it, I'm gonna wear these eyeglasses from our sponsor, Flying Eyes Eyewear. In fact, these are the Otis lenses, which are actually made for people who have bad vision. I do not, so I've swapped in some Grenadier appropriate green lenses. First up top here, got these grab handles, covers here. If you pop them off, there's power outlets, so you can have side lights. I've never seen this in any other vehicle. This little side track, so let's see, you wanted to mount a table for static use, but you could also put like gas cans on here or like recovery boards, so you don't have to have them inside the vehicle. Exterior hinges, and then of course you've got the push button. And I've turned on the, let's see if I can stop it. That got it. BFG KO2 tires on 17-inch wheels. I like the steely vibe. We had KO2s in our Bronco for a really long time, and they served us very well. Headlights at nighttime, the high beams offer exceptional illumination. This is a 12,000-pound winch, and it is so slyly integrated into the front bumper. These fenders, you could eat breakfast here. So it's a nice flat functional space, and you can also get like a diamond plate on here so you can stand on them. Look, it's sort of an international acknowledgement of the Grenadier's heritage. And I think that's all I got, other than, hey, Flying Eye sunglasses. They're super, super durable and rugged, not unlike the INEOS Grenadier. They're made for pilots. They fit comfortably under a headset or a helmet. If you'd like to help support our channel and you're in the market for eyewear or sunglasses, click the link in the description below. Use the promo code Micah to save 10%. I am winded. Oh, you're like getting a shot of glasses. I'll stay right here.
There we go. Handsome.
Leaving. A few quick notes. I like how the headlights turn amber when you turn on the turn signal. They offer a pickup truck version of this called the Quartermaster. They offer safari windows up here so you can like park somewhere and just sort of hang out and look, potentially be mauled by a lion. And then I have only seen these things in this green, but they do offer a wide range of colors, contrasting roof choices. You can even get the frame in a contrasting color. Hat tip to you, hero, who gets your frame in that powder-coated red. We are big fans of the INEOS Grenadier style, but what do you think? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Tell us in the comments. Moving onward to In Motion. We're driving in a body-on-frame SUV, 5-link front and rear live axles. If you look at the outside, you're like, oh, that's gonna be a real buckboard. It's not that. Ride quality is better than you'd think in most situations. I also found composure when cornering to be better than, let's say, Jeep Wrangler, which has a similar structure. That's how it tracks around corners. How does it steer around corners? This is reminiscent of the Autopia ride at Disneyland. Recirculating ball, looseness. That looseness really came to life for me when I was commuting on the freeway, where you spend a lot of time going in a straight line and there's all this like dead space. So you wind up making a lot of little corrections to stay on course. I always have to add this whenever we drive something with like live axles. There are reasons for it, and they will make more sense when we're off-road. The other thing that took me some getting used to was the slowness of the steering ratio. You do really have to crank on this thing to get it to turn. Moving to a real highlight, we've got the powertrain. I've just floored it, and man, that feels strong. 0 to 60 time is like 8.6 seconds, which for a vehicle like this that weighs nearly 6,000 pounds is good. You got that BMW inline 6-cylinder. Sounds good doing what it's doing, and it's teamed up with a really excellent 8-speed ZF or ZF, depending on your region, automatic transmission. Coming up the hill here, sometimes powertrains don't know what to do. They give you more power than you need and then not enough power. This powertrain combo was in the right gear at almost all the right times. I really like the powertrain. This is a very BMW drive selector. In some ways, it's incongruous with the rest of the interior. I like it because it's true to the powertrain. Once more for emphasis, I really like the powertrain. That's what I think about driving the INEOS Grenadier. What does Sweetie think? First question, how do you find the seating position?
I don't love it.
Do you feel like you've got access to the controls? I'm going to turn up for hazards real quick here.
I do feel like I have access to the controls.
One challenge I had was the tilt of the steering wheel. I really wanted it to come lower. It feels a little school bus-ish. All right, let's get in motion. Go fast that way.
Wow.
Do you feel like you have enough power to get out ahead of traffic?
That power is really reassuring.
Moving to steering, how does that reassure you?
Boo! Sorry.
Explain your boo.
I don't like how loose it is on center. Figuring out how to get it to actually steer where I want it to is difficult. And the most difficult, you kind of have to unwind the steering manually.
The self-centering tendency is really limited if you're at slow speed. You kind of have to move it manually back to its centered position. And then it's a really slow ratio, right? Like, so you have to do a lot of turns. What about visibility?
Visibility over my left shoulder is good. Where I really struggle with visibility in this vehicle is out the back. The windows are really high, there's a spare tire, and it's a split. So at night, I had a really hard time seeing what was behind me.
I also noticed visibility via the backup camera, it's not the sharpest image we've experienced. Go down to the end and do a U-turn.
Oh no. I'm glad there aren't cars in this parking lot because I'd be hitting them all.
Yeah, the turning circle is over 44 feet, which is pretty wide compared to most vehicles that we drive. If we were in the market for an off-road SUV, are there any game killers that would keep you from owning an INEOS Grenadier?
This kills me to say it because I love the way it looks, but the steering would be a game killer for me.
Evie has spoken. I'm getting back in the driver's seat. All right, enough of Sweetie and enough of me talking about driving this thing on the road. Let's go off-road. We're off-road. What are we working with? Well, quite a bit, actually. This lever over here draws the attention. You can move into that lock position, and that'll lock the center differential. In fact, you can do that in motion, either in high or in low. Let's just go ahead and do that. We're on dirt now, so that's fine. The same lever also operates the transfer case, so we can go from high and to low. Put it in neutral, lift, and pull. We are now in low. Back into drive. Good to go. The particular version we have also has locking front and rear differentials. Those are controlled up here.
You gotta hold them.
Hold them down until they're steady, and then the flashing means they're in process. We had a weird moment where I was like, they're flashing for a very, very long time. We're kind of used to how our Bronco works. Push the button, almost immediately it's locked or unlocked. This, it feels like there's a little bit more operation, and it's not quite clear where in that operation you are. For ground clearance, we've got 10.4 inches. You can certainly find more elsewhere, but I think it's plenty for the purpose. Standard underbody protection, operating things up here while you're in motion is a little bit tricky, but we have an off-road mode, and I'm gonna hold that and activate it. Push it again to confirm. We're used to off-road modes that change a bunch of electronics, and in this case, it turns off your seatbelt warning and your parking sensors. Oh, we also have a wade mode. That's a smart addition because it will turn off the fans, so you don't have a spinning fan hitting water. As we make our way over these bumps too, I'm not noticing a bunch of like rattling or anything like that. The sensation I'm getting is one of a very solid structure. Getting pushed around a little bit.
Good thing there's all this lateral support.
Suddenly those Recaro seats with generous side bolstering make a lot of sense. Reasonably comfortable ride. I mentioned earlier we've got 5-link front and rear live axles. Those really come in handy in an off-road context. They give you better articulation, which we're going to test out in just a moment here. We've got a standard challenge that we've run, let's see, the Wrangler through and the Bronco through.
Oh no, that's where we're going.
It is! We don't have some of the technology available in some of the other vehicles we test. Disconnect for the sway bar, contextual modes. This really is a simpler kind of SUV, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, it's just a different thing. To give us our best chance of success, I'm going to activate both the rear and front lockers. Unlike our Bronco, where you might snap a steering rod if you are using that front locker in too aggressive a way, we got that live front axle, super robust, so I think we should be good. We got to come up with a fun name for this hill.
How about hill? Because that's what I say every time we go up it.
Since he loves an opportunity to participate. Left side here, we got that root structure, and we have intersected with it. Yeah, it's a very, very slick, from a dirt perspective, not wet perspective, kind of hill. See how we're kind of like slipping a little bit? I'm gonna go a little bit farther to the right, because we got a capable SUV, but nothing wrong with using smart line selection.
Whoa!
Or it could be called Whoa Hill.
I think we might have the name, kiddo. Go even more right. There we go.
Yay!
Not up it yet.
Oh.
I'm gonna ease into it and just see if we can walk our way up it. Yeah, there we go.
Good job.
It took a few tries, but proper placement is always part of the off-road game. So yeah, I think we've got the essentials to succeed off-road. All right, let's get back on-road. Hooray, we survived off-road and wardrobe changes. Let's move on to remarks. got a standard 12.3-inch screen. It includes all the infotainment stuff. It also includes the gauge cluster. There's really nothing in front of the driver over here except some warning lights.
I like the way this is laid out. It's easy to find your way through different menus. It is a little bit difficult for me to see, but I have really bad eyes. No color, and the font is a very slim one. Also, I did notice that the system is a bit laggy, but it is well organized. And for those who prefer a rotary control, there is one.
Apple CarPlay wireless smartphone connectivity comes standard, and then there was no mention of wireless Android Auto, so I'm assuming it's only a wired function. As we've been talking about the INEOS Grenadier, you might have been thinking, wait, who's this vehicle for? I can tell you exactly who it's for. Todd Bell. My friend Todd Bell is the #1 INEOS Grenadier fan. Here's why he likes it. Hey Todd, tell me why you love the Grenadier.
It's a look into the past with a modern perspective. Essentially, Land Rover Defenders and series trucks, the reason why I got into off-roading were those Land Rovers. Taking that ethos and mentality of only what is necessary and updating it. Being a BMW lover, having owned 8 of them in my life, I love inline sixes, and I feel like they chose the perfect engine for a vehicle like this. A turbocharged inline 6 from BMW with a ZF8 speed transmission, cargo capacity that is suited for travel for family. I'm a father. We like to go camping, go on adventures. Styling wise, I just don't think it can be beat. It conjures every love of those early Land Rovers. I mean, what else? It's the
Nothing else, Todd. You got everything you need.
Really? Okay.
Tell me 3 words of love.
Oh, so much fun.
If anything Todd Bell just described there resonates with you, you might too be an INEOS Grenadier fan. Okay, let's take a look under the hood in a test inspired by my buddy Brian. Here's how you open the hood. You cannot check the engine oil underneath the hood. You have to go through the infotainment system. But if you need to add oil, there's where you do it, and that's where you can add the washer fluid. And if you're wondering what the horn sounds like, okay, let's talk engine choices. The only engine offered is a 3-liter turbocharged inline 6-cylinder engine teamed with an 8-speed automatic transmission. If you want to tow, it maxes out at a super specific 7,716 pounds.
Sweetie,
Uh-huh.
will you share our trim recommendation?
Indeed I will, in rugged and classic fashion. Our trim recommendation is which trim will give you the essential Grenadier features you'd regret not getting, but at the lowest possible price. They've got a Trial Master and a Field Master that add various functional and comfort options, but the base model Grenadier includes permanent 4-wheel drive, automatic climate control, pre-wired auxiliary switches, that 12.3-inch infotainment setup, and a 5-year, 60,000-mile warranty. Note, my beloved keyless access is not available. Given the Grenadier's style and premise, it would be really embarrassing if you took this thing out and then you got it stuck. So we would highly recommend, based on our experience as off-roaders, adding front and rear lockers and the BFG KO2 tires that come in the rough pack. $3,000 well spent if you save yourself some off-road embarrassment. As for competitors, you could look at the Grenadier as a value-priced G-Wagon alternative or a value and rust-free alternative to a classic Land Rover Defender. More mainstream competitors include names like the Ford Bronco, Jeep Wrangler, and Toyota Land Cruiser, all of which can be had for less money. Did we miss any remarks? If so, tell us in the comment section. And now it is our daughter's time to shine. Child, can you tell us what is your favorite feature in the INEOS Grenadier?
The toot button. It's not what it sounds like.
Kiddo, what do you like about the toot button?
You don't have to push down really hard on the middle of the steering wheel to make it honk. You can just press the toot button to make it honk.
And it's a cuter honk.
This is the main horn. This is the toot.
Again, it's not what it sounds like.
But I do like the little toot, the little bicycle. It makes my daughter ever so happy. Family, I think we've done a good job reviewing the INEOS Grenadier. May I have a 5? And 5. And you, come get your high five. Bam! And now, please enjoy our AI-generated INEOS Grenadier Synopsis Song.
Rolling along the beaten track, nothing can hold this power back. Grenadier is shining bright and tough. In every ride, it's more than enough.